the writ of mandamus is granted by the circuit court, so the appeals court, and they tell the judge, you've got to tell us why you made the decision you did to appoint this outside counsel. What kind of conversation did you have with him? You're the judge in the case. Did you talk about you instructed that retired judge to how they should carry out their actions? So now you have the judge has lawyered up on his own. And it's a very high-profile attorney in Washington, D.C., Beth Wilkinson.
It looks to me, Jordan, that he's trying to play judge, he's trying to play advocate, he's trying to play prosecutor, and now he realizes he is forced to play defendant because of the actions he took. Jordan, the hiring of this attorney, well-known in the D.C. area, I think it's an acknowledgement on his part that he's in deep water.
This is the most extraordinary move I have ever seen taken by a judge in all the years I have practiced. Here is a judge whose job is to rule on motions that are brought by the parties. He has now been directed by a superior tribunal, the D.C. Circuit, to explain the ruling that he entered, appointing this Judge Gleason and as in effect, special prosecutor. And now the D.C. Circuit has ordered him to respond. And what does he do? Instead of doing the deliberative process that a judge should do, he goes and hires his own lawyer who makes an appearance, and I looked at her entry of appearance, for the defendant appellee or one of the parties in the case. He's not a party to the case. He's the judge.
The court was just saying, explain your reasoning. Not you're in some kind of legal jeopardy. Judges get overturned all the time. If you're a district court judge, you know that can happen. And they get told by the Court of Appeals, you've got to do this. Or we're going to send this back to you to do this because we think you were wrong on this part, or you didn't analyze this, didn't spend enough time on this. You need to go back, have the parties argue it. So that happens all the time at appellate level to go back to a judge. Now, the writ of mandamus, it was, again, everything has been kind of unique to this case, and it hasn't happened a lot before. There's not a lot of precedent. But the judge began this by claiming he had some inherent authority.
He wants to play the defense attorney, the prosecutor. He wants to play the judge. He wants to bring in his own hearings here. This is something that's very concerning. It's no shock to me that he finally had to go get his own outside counsel, because he's just operating in areas right here that, frankly, he needs to explain. And I think the Court of Appeals is saying this is something wrong here. We need to look at it. And DOJ has acted properly. This just happens all the time in cases. Why is he not doing this? I think he's trying to play politics here.
Has he done something here that we don't know about? Has he engaged in politics that he shouldn't have engaged in? Has he done something that is incorrect or wrong? Does he need to plead the Fifth Amendment? Does he need to take some constitutional privilege into consideration? That would be the reason to me why he would go and retain Beth Wilkinson or any lawyer to represent him. You're the judge. You make the decision. You don't go hire lawyers to give you legal advice. That's why you've been there 25 years, appointed by President Clinton. You're supposed to know the law, and if not, you're supposed to go find it out by your law clerk or yourself. You're not supposed to go ask lawyers from outside to come in and advise you. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It's been bizarre from the start. We've learned a lot about the investigation. It was bizarre, wrong from the start. So you have, and don't take our word for it, or opinion. The Department of Justice said they were wrong, that they were wrong, that they took the wrong action. They shouldn't have brought this prosecution. They had no legitimate basis for their investigation. And this kind of action, it should, even though it won't, it should chill both sides, Republicans and Democrats, to realize that this is wrong. And again, you do not want these kind of government entities playing politics.